you. So, Doctor, let's remind our listeners that we are discussing the Aburi Accord, fact, fiction, and possibilities, bearing in mind that this is the period that the Nigerians are kind of remembering the events of 1967 to 1970, which I'm sure everyone here knows about those incidents. Dr. Nwaezeigwe, would you say that the failure to implement the agreements reached at Aburi directly led to the Nigerian Civil War? In other words, would implementing those Aburi agreements have prevented Nigerians from fighting the Civil War?
Without even implementing the Aburi Accord, Nigeria should have averted the Civil War. Because, as I said, there are many factors that make the implementation.
No, sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you. I'm sorry, Dr. Nwaezeigwe, excuse me. Sorry, please, for interrupting you. I will appreciate what you're about to say, but if our listeners will get the answer to this question, remember the thing we are considering. Would you say that the failure to implement the agreements at Aburi directly led to the Nigerian Civil War? Or in other words, would implementing those agreements prevented Nigerians from fighting a civil war? What do you say?
Well, yeah, first of all, I cannot say the failure of that period. You see, I am not a scientist. I'm a historian, and I don't just answer questions as if I'm in touch. You are a legal practitioner, true or false. As I said earlier, the Aburi Accord, even without implementation, if Ojukwu had come down, and seen the reason for it, it's not a question of implementation. Aburi Accord was implemented but with modifications. But one distorted a lot and put his own ideas. It's not a question of, when they talk of non-implementation, it's not a question of non-implementation. It was implemented but in a modified form, which Ojukwu rejected. So we must understand that. So we are now talking about the modification, not the implementation. Yeah, the modification, not the implementation, because it was implemented, but one changed it to suit himself and the circumstances on the ground. And I said earlier that even if Ojukwu had listened to advice and had come down, even without implementation, even without the modifications, there shouldn't have been any civil war. So part of the reason war based on Ojukwu's personality. And then you can also look at the weakness of Yoruba land, Western Nigeria. At that time, Western Nigeria was weak because militarily, because the garrison in Abuja and Ibadan were dominated by Northerners. And that was at that time, Awolowo and others asked the Northern Jews to leave, and they moved to Jeba. It was at the outbreak of the Civil War that they were even asked to come back. So, if you're even talking about command, because at Aburi, the issue of recruiting soldiers for West was discussed at Aburi. That since Western region had not enough force, how will they now put people? So it was agreed at Aburi that there should be a cash program for recruitment of army of soldiers for the Western region to meet up the standard of that Aburi agreement. And and when they came, because of the situation, there was no time for that recruitment when the crisis set in. So even if the Aburi had been implemented, like it generated another form of crisis of rejection by the minorities, both in the north and the east. That's my own position.
All right, well, thank you. I will very soon start taking questions. I'm seeing a lot of hands already on the air wanting to ask questions. But please, let's allow Dr. Ononuju to quickly address this question, and then we'll start taking questions from the audience. Dr. Ononuju, what do you think? Directly, will the implementation of the Aburi Accord have prevented Nigerians from fighting a civil war?
Yes, because that was an agreement. If they had agreed and implemented that accord as it was agreed to in Ghana, when you start saying you implement with modifications, a single modification is enough to throw away the full meaning and import to a people who were being killed of the meaning and the interpretation of their fears. Don't forget, you were talking about a period when people were being slaughtered and people were running away to their villages. It was agreed in Ghana on a set of rules that will rebuild and reassure people. Confidence building in times when blood has been spilled is a total issue. You know, if now you've seen a man who has been known to kill, and then you now have an agreement of we're going to cross over, and when we cross over, nobody is to be seen with a knife. And then you see somebody with a small penknife on his blood hand, and you know very well this man has killed before. There's nothing anybody will preach to you that you will now agree for him to keep that small penknife on him. Because why? He's been known to kill. So times when blood has been spilled, when you have agreements, it makes sense to stick to it. If you don't, that weather of suspicion, that climate of suspicion, distrust environment that lingers around will simply make everybody say, no, he's come again. Look, he's come again. That's exactly who he is. So that's the reason why the minute when you start changing things, if the man accepts that thing you've changed, nothing stops you from changing other things tomorrow. Stick to the agreement and then build from that agreement, because the most important thing you need in leadership is trust. If you don't have trust, as it doesn't exist right now in Nigeria for President Buhari, that's not everything you do, nobody will agree with you. It's like when he started on his quest for land, and we knew we couldn't trust him, and everything they say, we say, no. The reasons why Nigerians say no is due to trust. So if you don't have trust, you cannot go forward with any leader.
Well, thank you very much for this answers. Okay, we are now ready to take questions. Let's start from Tango, please. Can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Are you hearing me now?
Yes.
Okay. In history, in any war history, there is an understanding.
Louder.
With my experience, in any war history, you never go to bed. The loser in any war has no history. What really happened in Nigeria is a long story. Gowon is taking that sharp brain. Even Gowon, people that give power to Gowon, Butara, Aban, and Anka, those that must find the truth. Hiroshi was planned to kill at Benin. They failed due to logistic support. People at 9th Brigade moved to Benin despite distance. When I was in the army, we saw everything to print. People from Abuja to Benin to carry the operation. Abuja is very close. It's people that are the hit squad who from Abuja that still Hiroshi. And you know that time, I wasn't in army that time though, but when I joined the army after the war, we saw everything. Because even with some documents, but those things that not saving some documents. So, when Hiroshi was killed, that time, we don't have smart news. We don't have easy communication in army that time. I'm thinking now we get in 2 weeks' time, in 1 week's time. Thinking that wasn't easy. These people with their wisdom, even people in the north, somebody to get information from Lagos to Kano may take 2 weeks. And most of the signals at that time, you always go with motorcycle, Catch Rider, or Land Rover. I come a little bit. Yeah. Sorry, yeah. So what I'm saying that the one should not take blame for Aburi. People that stop Aburi, they don't want to lose their big empire. But the British are very expert in indirect rules. They use the northern areas and these people, those in government, knowing that they will lose their position. They're telling them, if Aburi had called, nobody blame Ojukwu. Ojukwu did that because when Ojukwu was alive, life to life. A minute, no question. Ojukwu did the right thing by telling the brothers, this is my journey, this is what I get. And then we are happy with him. So Gowon is not in control. Nobody should blame Gowon for that Aburi. What started from British and people
thank you. We will allow even though they have addressed this issue before, we'll allow them to come back to that. Let's take the next question from Chief Emeka Abba, please. And then we take the response before we take the next two questions from Onebu and myself. Chief Emeka Abba, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. I just got called and I was asked to join the room. So what I want to ask is this. I want to know if this our meeting discussing about the cause of the Civil War, whether it has any way of, going to help us to get solution to fix our present problem. Because I think dwelling in the past about who was right or who was wrong, since I've been listening to the guest speakers in this room, whether it was the one that old man, the one that was right, whether it was the late Biafran leader, Ojukwu, that was right or who was wrong. I think with what I'm seeing in Nigeria today, we need to be concerned about our present, our today, and our future. That's my, it's just a view of what I think should bother us so much at the moment. Because if we are saying whether what caused the Civil War, whether it was right or Ojukwu, I think we might be forgetting something that is very important. Because with the way Nigeria is today, with the way with the Igbos and the situation of this country today,
thank you.
I think we have to begin to discuss on things that is present instead of the past.
All right. Thank you very much for your point. Let's hear from Dr. Ononuju, please, on the two issues that you have raised.
Yes, I will say that I agree we should move forward and confront our today's problem. The issues have changed. What Nigeria has today is a Fulani problem. So that the people didn't understand it then is understandable. I put it down to lack of knowledge. Now that Nigeria has a Fulani problem, it has not changed. It was also a Fulani problem then. So now that we have this Fulani problem, and the whole of the ethnicities in Nigeria are now united, as you could see from the Southern Governors meeting in Asaba, and they all talked about, and that's why I'm very happy, because for the past 12 years, I have been doing on television what I call the Fulani monologue. And when you saw the governors in Asaba, they came to the same place, because I recognized in 2007 that the most security troubling problem we will have, and which I would call the most existential security challenge Nigeria will have, is the Fulani reaction to the consequences of democracy, which has now come. And as it has come, everybody in Nigeria has seen it. Every one of their post-Civil War allies have seen it. Why? The Fulani do not have numbers to survive a democracy which is primarily based on numbers. Don't forget, they came to Nigeria as a family, not as a nation. And today we are a democracy. They don't have the numbers. And even in the north, they killed the Hausa in Katsina and Zamfara, Sokoto, seeking ancestral lands to resettle Fulanis coming in from Mali, Central African Republic, and Cote d'Ivoire and other places. And now that what it is that made us Igbos to vote against Buhari has now been revealed to everybody through Buhari's incompetence in managing our diversity, I think that is what all of us should today focus our energy. Now that the Yoruba, the Igbira, the Kanuri, the Hausa, the TV, the Kaka, the Pansa, the Chukum, the Wurukum, the Ibirom, the people across the country are now united on one single platform, that the Fulani who are killing Nigerians for ancestral land are our real problem. I think that's what we should discuss. That's what we should come together. The Civil War is gone. Because if you look at the Civil War, you will now look at the cascade of different ethnicities who that time were with the Fulani, but today are with us in saying that the Fulani represents an existential threat to the life and sustained existence of people of other ethnicities. So we do not have in Nigeria any fundamental problem between the North and the South. No, there are no problem between the Muslims and Christians. No, what we have is the Fulani against all ethnicities. And that's why I am very happy that I'm beginning to see Igbo youths now join together with the Yorubas to protest against these things. I beg you, let us focus our attention on this crisis. If we do not solve the current Fulani problem we have in Nigeria, forget about the democracy. Because why? The violence you've seen, they sponsor in the northeast as Boko Haram, in the northwest by the Fulani bandits, in the north central and the southwest as the Fulani militiamen, and the old eastern region as unknown gunmen, it will not go away. They are all targeted towards making sure that nobody shares any power with them. They are repeating the same mistakes they repeated in Central African Republic in 2010, in 2011, culminating in the reaction by those Africans in 2013. And I tell their leaders, I say, if you do the same thing in the same African society and setting, you will definitely get the same reaction. So I believe we should forget the past and come together, organized today for the current problem that we have as Nigerians. That's what I believe.
Thank you very much. Dr. Nwaezeigwe, what is your response or reaction to these issues now raised?
First, from Tango, I would like to tango him in what he said. The point is that one of the problems we had was the weakness of Gowon, and not just weakness. Gowon was very, very humane in his approach. He wasn't actually the power behind his throne that place. It was actually Akaha, John Akaha, that put him there against Murtala Mohammed, who wanted to take power. So right from time, Gowon had been struggling against his caliphate. So most of us, we don't know that, unless you are a deep historian, then you know that. Secondly, to my brother, Chief Emeka, no, it's impossible for you to forget about the past. The Fulani are able to maintain their control on Nigeria today because of their reliance on their history, on their past, pride on their past, understanding their past. If you don't know your past, you will not know how to solve the problem of the future or your present problem. And then the future becomes a mirage for you. It's just like a carpenter drawing a nail into the wood. If the carpenter doesn't put the hammer backwards, it cannot develop the force to put the cutting back. We're looking at what caused our problem. What the problem we have today did not start with the Fulani estimate today. It did not start with Buhari. The problem has been in incubation, and we'll be pretending as if we knew nothing about it. Right from the inception of Nigeria as a colonial entity, through as I stated earlier, most of the problems we have today were generated by Igbo leadership. From Zik, who did not understand the political dimension of the Fulani and thought that they were his person. Even Aburi also sold our own opportunity on throne because of his reliance on the Fulani. Then please, we should look back our history and look at it. And that is why this issue of Aburi is very, very important. For how can we look at what is happening today? We are looking at what caused it. There must be cause and effect. There are causes. We are just experiencing the effects. For us to for you to say, oh, let us look about the effects. Let us look about the causes, and then just treat the effect. No. It is like a scalar quantity in what the French in physics. You think your thoughts and actions should have magnitude, and that must have direction as well. The present topic we are talking is very, very fundamental. The present issue first is that Igbo leadership at that time, Ojukwu in particular, did not understand the intricacies of Fulani, of Fulani imperial plans, designs in Nigeria today. Look at immediately after the May 25th slaughter of the Igbo people, over May 15th slaughter of the Igbo people, over the 34 or whatever. He invited the Emir of Kano and then made him the removed seat and now made him the Chancellor of the University of Nigeria then. Why they were killing your people? He never understand. Even when he came from exile, he never understood that this planet are not the best of friends of Igbo people. He can appear in terms of ridiculing and then sold the Igbo people. And even up to today, you only guess. Oju Sokal wants to be president. Peter Obi wants to be president. And Nwankwo wants to be president. Hope just open his state. Also, they might yet the roads are all scattered. Also, don't believe that. See, Igbo people as they are infiltrated for Igbo people. And they continue going there. It is only by going back to our past that we inform our people that look at the situation and what happened before is still what is replaying today. The Yoruba never joined the program. The Middle Belt only joined the program for one reason, because the Hausa, because the Fulani people convinced them that look, they kill they kill your general farmer or other people, and because again, remember the team people were annoyed because Agony refused to release the team people. 35 team people locked up in prison by Ahmadu Bello. These were the reasons why they even voted against it.
Let's focus.
Ordinarily, listen, no, let me go. Ordinarily, but one did not want to go to war against Igbo people. And that was why he took in 6 weeks after the declaration of Biafra, sending emissaries. He sent Awolowo and Marere of Millions Revolution to go and play with Ojuku. No one did not want to go to war, especially when decided he had an Igbo fear. He never wanted to go to war against Igbo. Let us not go into that until the Igbo of today look back and know the mistakes of their leaders. The solution of the present problem will be difficult to achieve.
All right, we thank you very much. Let's take questions from Unebu and Marcel, please. Unebu first and then Marcel.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, hello, but thank you very much once again. First of all, in Nigerian history, the Civil War is still until as we are talking now. But the question I have, this topic is Aburi called, you said facts and figure. And you have asked both Nwaezeigwe and Ononuju maybe 3 or 4 questions which I recall. The other one say facts, the other one say not true. So how now we that are listening, and when we go out, we came here to learn what we will tell other people. And in so 3 or 4 different occasions, the other one say yes, the other one say no, true, and the other one say false. How do we go with it? When we go now, which one are we going to tell people out? That's my question.
Okay, I will clarify this point. Okay, thank you very much. I'll put it to them. Let's hear from Marcel too. Marcel.
Thank you, Dan. Now, when people are saying forget your history, I just see them as being very naive. It's just like someone that wants to land in the Mars, and he's telling you to forget the lessons you learned trying to land in the moon and other places. You're going to take those lessons, inculcate them, arrange them very well, equip yourself properly, and go. So I am in fully support of we understanding our past and what caused whatever caused where we are today. Now, and that's where I am agreeing with Dr. Nwankwo or Professor Nwankwo. Sorry, I'm not sure if you're understanding. The other part I disagree, because in most places what I hear you say is you try to make excuses for one and try to make excuses for some other people. Now, tomorrow I wouldn't expect you to come here and tell me that what you are saying, that someone behind is pushing you to say it. Okay, you're going to be held accountable. So when you go into an agreement with someone, you are ultimately accountable. So Gowon is ultimately accountable with whatever agreement he has reached with his co-partners in the Aburi Accord, And if he has agreed to implement those agreements, he's ultimately accountable if he did not implement it. So let's not wave things around. Let's stand where it is. I hear people often say that the British are pushing them, and I ask, you are the president, okay? If someone is pushing you, you have a right to stand your ground and do what you're supposed to do. I look at India and Pakistan. We almost have the same issues with Nigeria and India and Pakistan. But Indian and Pakistani leadership had gone ahead, they fought their wars, and they separated. So you have India and Pakistan, and they're all moving fine. India is one of the best performing countries in the world in terms of technology and everything. So what I will want Nwankwo to do, I need you to be very specific in answering some questions. When the questions were, was it the failure of the Aburi Accord that caused the war? Is a yes or no question. I have an agreement with you. You now came back and now think of going to renegotiate. Based on what? You should have just not come to that meeting. You should have first of all done your negotiation before coming to that meeting. And then I hear you say that Ujuku doesn't have a right to announce what he came by the outcome. Hello, I came with my people, you came with your people. Any bilateral arrangement that I have a right to announce to my people. I don't need to wait for you. Unless if you're telling me that was also part of the agreement that was written down. Okay? So let us hold the one accountable. And then I hear you say that the Aburi Accord is not implementable. I want to know the components of the Aburi Accord that is not implementable. Because if I understand very well, Nigeria has 4 regions before the incursion of the military. And the Aburi Accord was simply say, return to 4 regions. So I needed to know the components of the Aburi Accord that is not implementable. If you are bringing in other excuses of why one ethnic group doesn't want to be in another group, even in Nigeria as we stand today, I don't think some ethnic group wants to share the same thing with another ethnic group. But the state still stands. So we don't need to bring those emotions into it. Now, my last comment, I would want the participants to be very honest with us and let us trash key points that we all agree on, because people are going to walk away here with the history of what I have read wide, so I'm expecting us to come and agree that this is what happened and not beat around the bush or try to make excuse for anybody. Thank you.
All right, before I go back to our discussions, let's be clear. The bias na onye na-amara ebe mmiri bidoro nwa bịa ama gba ebe mmiri bidoro kwụsịkwara ma ọ bụ ama ife kọsịrị bidoro ozu a. Because history is very, very, very important. You cannot come to Nigeria today and say, let us forget what happened in the past, let's face the future. No. We must understand. At the beginning of the discussion, I did a make-up. Some of us were born during the Civil War. Some of us were born after the Civil War. And importantly, it is those who were born after the Civil War are now shaking the table. They are not shaking the table. They are all having the IPOP, all having IPOB, all having ESN, all having MASOP, all having the... So they need to understand we have to get that clear. And I think I agree with myself that our discussants, they are both historians. So they should not beat around the bush, give us direct answers to direct questions. So let me go back to them. You have heard what the questioner said. Can you respond to those issues before we go back to take further questions from our listeners? Okay, Dr. Nwaezeigwe first.
Yeah.
Please let us restrict your answers to now and maybe 3 minutes, because you see a lot of hands. 2 minutes, please.
Well, I recognize Marcel's sentiment, but in history, you don't answer scientifically. As I said, you don't look at the peripheral. You don't look at Gowon was not here alone. If you are telling me this is pathetic, give me the bottom of giving this. And I'm giving you an instance. For instance, they said there should be military commands at each independent military commands. And they discovered that the West had no army. Western region had no army. The only soldiers they have were technicians and then clerks in the army. And then it was decided in Aburi that they should now start crash program on how to recruit people in the West. And that was why when the West now came and said the army of occupation in Lagos should now go. They then go on and said there should be Lagos garrison should be created, which should now be in charge of Lagos. So it will not be possible for them. And again, you're talking of Ojukwu. Go where he gone and consulted and called the permanent secretary to look at the agreement. consult anybody. It's against Igbo tradition. What Ojuku came on 5th, the Aburi Accord was on 4th and 5th, and he came on 6th and gave a press conference. There was no consultation with people around. As for one day, it's not Igbo tradition.
No. Sorry, Dr. Nwaezeigwe, let us, excuse me. Dr. Nwaezeigwe, you know why I love, Dr. Nwaezeigwe, you know why I loved your initial presentation. You gave us the 6 points agreed at Aburi. Very explicit. We all had it. And now the question is, why wasn't those agreements implemented? You also gave us your opinions as to why they were not implemented. The next question is, did the failure to implement the Aburi Accord lead to Nigerian Civil War? Let us get this facts clear, because a lot of us are going away from this discussion with some lessons learned. I don't know whether I've made my point. So thank you very much. Do you wish to conclude, or do we go to...
No, let me conclude. No, yeah, on this your last topic. As I said, it's not a question of yes or no. I'm a professional historian. As I said, there are many multifarious factors that is not just one factor. And secondly, the issue of whether Aburi, the refusal to address Aburi caused the Civil War, can also be right, because if Ojuku had wanted to manage the misimplementation, it's not his misimplementation of Abuja, of Aburi. He should have prevented the Civil War, because the Aburi was not the direct consequences of the Civil War.
So you are blaming...
Yes.
All right, okay.
No.
Okay, we thank you. It's all right. No, we thank you. Let's hear from you. No.
What is the reason for the Civil War?
Hello, let us hear from Dr. Ononuju before we take other comment from people in the audience, please. Just 2 minutes. Dr. Ononuju, what do you have to say with what is coming up from our listeners now?
Of course, the listeners are very correct. I agree with them. Goa was wrong. It's not for us to come here and defend him. He was wrong. If you say he was weak, that means he misrepresented himself in Aburi. He attended Aburi and he was recognized for the claims he made that he is the head of the Nigerian government. And that meant anything that was agreed in Aburi, he could implement. So when he came back and he didn't implement it, that's why I told you, you cannot start blaming any permanent secretary. Those were all the scam and fraud they do to try to pan away responsibility. Gowan was wrong, 100% wrong. I told him that 2 months ago when we met. I said, you're wrong. And because of your bad decisions, look at your people and they're under attack. The Fulani are trying to overrun your place. 58 plateau villages, people from them are in IDP camps. And Gowan cannot say a thing. Can you imagine that? So that's why I think probably even today, Buhari is a bonanza of sorts. Why? His incompetence has forced all of us now to understand the foolishness of decisions that some of us took in the 60s. So, yes, Gowan was wrong, and I say that emphatically. No, nothing has to do with any permanent secretary. The buck stops at the table of the head of state. Go on. You're supposed to implement the Aburi Accord that you signed on to, not to come here and start seeking for renegotiations. He is wrong 100%. Secondly, we should have history. History should be taught. I'm happy you say I learned Nigerian history on my own when I saw the Fulanis have set purpose towards removing it, because they know if history is properly taught, we will know that they are not indigenous to Nigeria. So there's a lot of things that happen for which the Fulanis remove history from our school curriculum. I fight that it be brought back, that a man who doesn't know his history may be told tomorrow that the one who took the decision is not to be blamed. No, he's to be blamed. He took responsibility in Accra. He instead of, can you implement everything? Yes, who implement? And they put him there. So why will he come back and say he don't blame him? You blame go on. That's what you do. So, and that's the way I say it.
Please, now I want to talk.
Thank you very much. Let us hear from Nwankwo, and the man says, okay, please. And then there are so many hands. Please. Okay, Nwankwo, please, let's hear from you. And then we hear from my says, okay.
Thank you, Mazi Elomba, for giving me an opportunity to contribute. If you do not revisit your history becomes your present. But also, when you look at your history, you have to read in between the lines, watch in between the pixels, and listen in between the decibels. Insight is not a common commodity. The problem of Nigeria started with Nwaezeigwe. He had a lot of baggage, and he was white-mailed by the British into accepting Fulani hegemony. We have present-day Nwaezeigwe as our governors, who kowtow to the Fulanis for their own personal gain and aggrandizement. We have to confront these individuals. And there are ways of effecting a change of government. What I see with my people is that they vote for the wrong person after getting a cup of rice. The individual goes into office and steals a trailer load of rice for the 1 cup he gave an individual. So multiply that by the population. So until we begin to rethink and also remember that heroes have flaws. Jefferson owned slaves. George Washington owned slaves. I won't be surprised sometime in the future some of their status will be removed. Okay, I'm sure, I'm not sure, but if you meet God and ask him, did he make a mistake creating us? He may say, man, I could have made a mistake. I don't like what's going on here. So Ojukwu made errors. Look at it. We claim to be very intelligent. The Igbos, we have a megalomaniac tendency. The South Sudanese fought the whole Arab world for 30 years and got their independence because they did not declare a nation in Sudan. It was more of a guerrilla war. If you fight a guerrilla war, nobody knows where you are. You don't dig trenches with somebody with armored cars, Saladin and Saracens, and start fighting in frontal battle where you have den guns. There were mistakes made, and if we don't revisit those mistakes, we're going to make them again. And finally, we are docile, gullible, malleable, and compromisable. The Fulanis can do what they're doing in Nigeria, in Senegal, in Gambia, in Ghana. They tried it in Mali. The Dogons and the Bambara fought them. They tried it in Central African Republic. So we have to, and remember, if we don't do that, the whole Nigeria will become an emirate. We have an emir of Faba, emir of Onitsha, because the Fulanis don't want to coexist peacefully with anybody. Okay, and the greatest problem we have is that of leadership. No leader is perfect. You have, so long as more than 60% or even 50% good, go with it. And before I forget, Gowon is the cause of the Civil War. Babafemi Ogundipe could not stand the heat in the kitchen, and he ran to London as High Commissioner. Gowon pretended to be head of state. Once you're head of state, the buck stops at your desk. And the man was so naive, I don't want to insult him, but he was so naive and inexperienced that in 75 or thereabouts, he said that Nigeria had so much money that Nigeria didn't know what to do with the money. And he was paying salaries for countries in the Caribbean. Show me where Gowon built gas power stations, solar power stations, nuclear, whatever. We still have 4,000 megawatts. So the guy is now praying to change Nigeria. Assuming we had a Fulani take over head of state, they wouldn't do what Gowon did.
because now we know who is doing it. But if they could go behind a stooge, they will wash their hands off of it. The stooge did it. So please, not only do we teach history, we need to tell people the implication of history, because every one of us thinks that they are smart as everybody else. No, everyone is not endowed similarly. That's why we need leaders. And when you get a leader like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, he has some flaws, we have to support him. If you want to form your own, don't fight the other groups. I end my case.
Thank you very much. Let's listen to Nwaezeigwe, please, before we go back to Dr. Ononuju and Dr. Nwaezeigwe. You can unmute yourself.
So thank you very much, Dan, for having me here. I've been laughing my head off when Katch Ononuju made some categorical statement. And but if I come to the my submission this evening, I want to start off where Marcel stopped. And he said something in the chat forum here. He said, if we rephrase this question, which is, if Gowon had implemented the agreement, would Ojukwu ever have declared war? Or would the Eastern Assembly...
Ojukwu did not declare war.
No, okay, hold on. No, sorry. I rephrase. Would the Eastern Assembly ever declared Biafra? Not war. My mistake. I take that back. Would the Eastern Assembly ever declared Biafra, the Republic of Biafra then? The answer is very obvious. Then it leads me to this point. What we saw in 1966-67 is nothing different from what is happening in the present Nigeria, where leaders do not take their positions serious. You tell me that someone left Nigeria, flew into Ghana, in Aburi, to have a meeting with you. Come in there, sit down, and somebody who came in prepared and made a presentation, adult, you left, you went home. You said, oh, he came prepared. We didn't know it was going to be this. Oh, he didn't know it was. Now, look at the people in government today. When they go on meetings, the last time they were in Germany, we saw pictures. All of them sat on the table. The Germans had their pens and papers ready to do something. What we saw them doing is some of them hustle for the teas and coffees that were on the table. And here you are, a leader said, oh, we can amend, you shouldn't have announced whatever. What did you go to Aburi to do if it was not that you went in there to agree on something? You went in Aburi, you agreed on something, you came back and you told me, oh, why didn't you go with those people you know that would have influenced it, that would have been trashed out at once? What stops you when you know that this thing was no longer visible? What effort did you make to reach out again and say, okay, sorry, point A and point B, can we re-agree on it? And that is the same thing that we see today. That is the reason why you will have a man who went around Nigeria campaigning that if my party wins, we will give you restructuring, and put it in the freaking manifesto. They win an election. Oh, anyone who talks about restructuring is enemy of the Nigerian state. Tell me how that is different from what you had in 1967. Give me a break, because again, at the end of the day, like Katch Ononuju said, I agree with him without apology. Gowon sadly caused the loss of millions of people. There was no way they could have declared the Republic of Biafra if you had agreed. As Dr. Nwankwo had enumerated there, the things that were in there are very simple. Keep return to the regions, keep peace. If when we went back, people stopped dying, there was no program. Whoever killed another Nigeria, be it in the eastern Nigeria that they killed a northerner, prosecute them. In the north, if somebody killed someone else, prosecute them. Today is the same problem, that things are happening. Nobody. You see a bunch of people marauding into your country and they kill people. Oh, the police arrest them and they get released. And you want to have a nation. We are basically seeing a repeat of 1966, 1967 happening before our own very eye. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Nwaezeigwe. Dr. Ononuju, we come back to you. Obviously, the failure to implement the Aburi Accord from the consensus seemed to have led to the Nigerian Civil War. What do you think in your mind? Because like we said, history teaches us the present and dictates the future. What do you think Ojukwu would have done differently? Because one of the discussants seem to be blaming Ojukwu. So let's put it to you, because both of you are discussing. What do you think Ojukwu would have done differently when he saw that maybe the Aburi Accord would have, it's not going accord? Do you agree with Nwaezeigwe that they would have maybe started to renegotiate some points, or was he right to insist on Aburi we stand?
I don't think Ojukwu insisted on Aburi we stand. Ojukwu was simply living to the truth about an Igbo man. Once you have an agreement with an Igbo man, he takes it as that. If you go against it, he will no more honor any dealings with you. It's not Ojukwu's making. It is in our DNA. That's who we are. That's why you see the Omonade institution is built around trust. Once you say it, Omonade hear it. Omonade act as witnesses. That's why you see in the East, when land is bought, Omonade are used for the one. They are seen as witnesses. So once the Igbo man, this is our worldview. The minute you have an agreement with an Igbo and you keep to it, everything is fine. But it is not so with the Fulani. The Fulani have a history that is built on the Polaco, the way we Igbos have our Omena of, the Omonade system, and then Ane also. That means age, the Omonade, and that equity that we always call in the Fulani life. There is the Polaco. Inside the Polaco, there is the Takia. And then they forever don't do anything that is honest, as you've seen. The Hausa man has an honest Bakumi life. He accepts, and he's very, very giving. The Hausas are very, very honest in Africa. And that was why the Fulani were able to play them with their deceit. And today, look at it. Hausas are not only the poorest people in the world. Hausa land is home to humanity's largest concentration of children without access to formal education than anywhere else in the world. So we cannot listen and succumb to the Fulani the way the Hausas have succumbed to them. And that's the fundamental problem Nigeria seems to have today. The Fulani's application of Takia in everyday deceit has now caught up with them that, as Nwaezeigwe rightly pointed out, it is in their life. They will make promise to you, tomorrow they will go against it. Buhari talked about it in paragraph 2 of the APC's manifesto was restructuring. Today, he said, no, I did not say restructuring. And he feels comfortable to move on. And then when we talked about him taking land, he said, no, these are Libyans. Another one, he said their compatriots led to live peacefully with them. When I made my groundbreaking revelation on television that these people are from Mali, I met them and I spoke Hausa to them, they could not. But when I spoke French, they listened and they retorted. And as we continued speaking, I found they were from Mali. Most people said I was not being honest. But being an Igbo man, I stood on what it was. It took 3-4 years for Nigerians to now see everything is true. So the Fulani man's life is built on deceit. Ashe, ours is that way, and we move on. So those were the two clashes we saw. As Gowan went there, believing to be a normal African, he's a gentleman, I agree. But then, gentlemen don't make the thing go unless he acts. You know, what you tell to an Igbo man is different from your actions to him. When you act and he sees that you're not trustworthy, he won't trust you. So it wasn't say Ojukwu did. No, it is who we are. We were being killed and we couldn't trust those who were killing us. And when we had an agreement with them in Ghana, we came back Implement the agreement. These are people just running away from being killed, and you now want to start changing it. There is no way a man who has seen 2, 3, 4, 5 of his cousins, brothers, and relatives die still believe the word of a man who said, okay, I want to make peace. We said, okay, fine, let's shake hands. We shake hands. Then we come back, and the man walks back, and there's something shining at his back, and it's a knife. He said, my friend, bring that back. You can't take a knife to that side. I said, no. And let me just give you a small one. Once you break those agreements, you break trust. If the biggest logistics in leadership is trust. If the people cannot trust you, they will never do anything you will say. And that's when, if you cannot trust this leader, who have seen that our people have been killed in the north, they came back, and then we now went for a negotiation, and they said, he is the leader, whatever he says he will do. And then we trusted those words with Jerankra. And then we came back here, and the man went back the same old way, the same old deceit that our people have known the Fulani to be with. So when we say, okay, this is the voice of Esau, but the hand is dealing with us is the hand of someone else. And that was why he said no. So it is wrong to blame Ojukwu. Ojukwu was simply boxed into a corner, and then the rest, they say, is history. And as I said, what you saw in that 60s is exactly what you're seeing right now. But the way it is being shown now is not just us, the Igbo, seeing it. It is the whole of Nigeria's ethnicities seeing it. And that's where today is better than yesterday.
Thank you.
Because now
we still have more opportunity to this, and because I'm sure the coming questions will allow you to make further expositions on this point, Dr. Ononuju, please. Let's ask Dr. Nwaezeigwe, what lessons should we take from the events and the aftermath and the fallouts from the failure to observe the agreements in Aburi or otherwise? What lessons should we take from that?
See, before I look at that lesson, I want to re-emphasize my position on that Aburi Accord. It was minutes of a meeting of the Executive Council. You see, like Mr. Ezeoke said, they are all based on their shallow knowledge of the content of that agreement. If they actually know, Aburi Accord was not just one day. On 15th and 16th, the Solicitor Generals of the 4 regions met in Benin to look at it. By end of March, they moved again back to Abuja, back to Aburi on a second Aburi meeting to discuss it. So it was not like after that meeting, everything ended. They continued discussing it. So within that interim, there shall be ways of solving the problem amicably. And it's not a question of telling me yes or no. As a history teacher, as a history lecturer in university, ask my student, Obasanjo was the reason why Murtala was, was killed, yes or no? And if my student answers yes or no, I fail him straight away, because I don't know what to say. He has to explain the yes or the no in details. That is historical studies for you. So it's not a question of telling me, if you are talking of implementation, there were other areas were implemented. The only area was that Agony abolished regionalism and removed federal from the government and just is of provinces from federal group of provinces. But one came back and said he's returning. He returned back the decree instituting Federal Republic of Nigeria. That was one. And when he returned Nigeria, he abrogated that group of provinces and turned it to Federal Republic of Nigeria. Ojukwu did not like it. The second one, he said, that idea of the council determining the control of the military, that he would not accept that. As head of state, he should be the commander. In fact, he said he should be the supreme commander. Ojukwu rejected that he cannot be supreme commander, but commander-in-chief. That was the point. And the same commander-in-chief is what they are doing up to this moment. So other areas were implemented, and Solicitor Generals of those days were meeting. So the issue of just looking at that Aburi meeting of 5th and 6th, and the only reason why it wasn't true, because the 4 regions continued meeting, trying how to solve the problem until the outbreak of the Civil War on 30th May. So we must understand that. But talking about the lessons we should learn, it's not a question of the non-implementation, but implementation of the Aburi Accord, because it wasn't totally implemented. Some were actually implemented because there were regional commands of the army. The Midwest had their command under the control of Lieutenant Colonel Nwankwo. The West had their command under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Obasanjo, assisted by Lieutenant Colonel Pajowa. The North also have their own. They did not have their computation with Akaya in command. And that was why the West said they should forget Abuja and Lagos and move to Jeba. And they moved to Jeba and stayed until the outbreak of the Civil War. Remember, on the Biafran invasion of Midwest in 1968, that those people in control of Midwest Rebel were the Midwest indigenes. They were the Midwest indigenes, which means that aspect of Aburi Accord, talking about regional control of the army, was already in existence at that time. So it wasn't like the whole Abuja, the whole Aburi Accord was not implemented. A few, number one, that Ujuku rejected. In spite of that, all the law officers of foreigners continue to be the major lesson we should learn is presently is that we should not just look at the trivialities of the situation. Even in taking cognizance, even in taking a laudable or a fundamental decision, we must look at the feelings of other people. As I stated earlier, in designing the Abuja Accord, those people who said they did not look at the political accident, the political antecedents prior to that crisis, especially when you are talking of the agitation of the Middle Belt for their liberation from the Northern oligarchy, which led to TV riots that lasted from 1960. We should talk about the Okrika riots and the minorities in the East agitating. These were the factors that actually led to the collapse to the immediate collapse of the Aburi Accord, because these people protested, and if they protested to go one had no authority to impose an authority over them, because at that time they were vibrant in the soul.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Sorry for my interjection. We'll take further questions, but let me quickly add.
As if we are journalists or whatever, or we are physicists defining Nelson
Dr. Nwaezeigwe, thank you thank you very much. I will have come back to. We'll move on now because our time is almost coming to an end. But I will have moved on. Another thing I will have asked about facts, fiction about Aburi Accord was Ojukwu, in one of his writings, explained that yes, it was agreed that I will allow Gowon to address the nation on the agreement reached at Aburi. But then we came home, 24 hours passed, Gowon wasn't talking. 48 hours passed, Gowon wasn't talking. 72 hours, they are still having meeting. Ojukwu now said no. You now went and addressed the press conference and told the world these are the agreements we reached at Aburi. But let's leave that.
But that was a lie on the part of Ojukwu. Ojukwu addressed the press conference on 6th of January 1967.
And they came back on what?
Yes. I have the record. 6th of January.
No. I said, okay, sorry. I may be, wait. I may be wrong. Dr. Nwaezeigwe, wait. Can you just come? Wait, please. Wait now. Just wait. Maybe because all of us are learning. What was the date of the Aburi agreement?
2 days. 4th and 5th.
No, what was the date? Yeah?
4th. Of January.
Okay, wait. Okay, on what date did the Ojukwu address the press conference?
On 6th January. 6th January. Just
so
the day after.
A day after.
Yes. The meeting ended 5th.
All right.
Then they slept on 6th. They returned. As soon as he landed at Enugu, got to his government, he addressed the press conference.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on. Let's hear from Lord Swish and then Azo Ikejiani, please. Meanwhile, we will conclude this segment in the next 10 minutes. Then we move to the next segment we normally have after this last type of interviews. Lord Swish, please, can you unmute yourself? And then Azo to follow immediately. Lord Swish, unmute yourself, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, who is speaking? Is that Azo speaking first? Or?
Yeah, good evening once again. I first commend all the participants again. More especially Dr. Katch Ononuju, who have been following for the past 2 or 3 years. He has been vocal in most of the local TV. Been vocal in most of it. Has not been debated for his own positions and submission. Quite just like what is happening tonight again. But in addition, I think I'm quite satisfied with about the immediate past submission made by our brothers and Marcel, Ezoka, and the rest of them, including that of Katch Ononuju. The question is simple. Fictions or facts? What are the causes? And the lesson learned with the solution ahead. Which I've learned a lot from the past previous speakers. Both their submissions, including that of Dr. Katch Ononuju, has laid a very good foundation. Denial, obstructions, deceit, and most of all these regulars, whatever you can talk about it. In our ramifications, this has actually summarized what we wanted to know. Today I'm having issues like the manner of which Dr. Nwankwo is taking this shit to. You can't probate at the center, reprobate in the second. Initially, I've taken your submission quite exclusive and simple. When you said that these actions initially were designed to fail, even before they went on that agreement. How come along the line you deviated from the earlier submission that you made, saying that Ujuku was the cause? However, it's not what I'm trying to do. I've learned for whatever I want to learn. I just want to thank and compliment most of the people I've spoken so far. I think my own question now is this: what are the way forward? Looking at the pending doom, the forthcoming issues that is ahead of us today. The same story is repeating itself. Right? Each and every one of us can acknowledge that we've not gone beyond the same 1967, 1960, 1970 or the same thing is still doing. I've learned my own lesson from the earlier submission, but ahead of us now, with what we have at hand, I think that's part of the real issue at hand now. Why this thing is very important. History, we cannot first of all without the past tense. So what are the going forward? What we learn and the manner with which we can approach the forthcoming world, of which you've seen it. The same deceit is still going on. The same systematic approach. Nothing has ever changed. It's still the same thing. The same system designed to fail. The same thing is still applicable. So what can we do about that? Thank you so much. Dr. Katch Ononuju, I still have. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Lord Bishop, for your succinct submissions. Azo, please, Mr. Ikejian.
Dr. Nwaezeigwe, I quite disagree with what you just placed on this forum. I knew Ojukwu from 5th Battalion Kano. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you, he went to Katsina to save my parents from being killed. At that time, I was born in Kano. I speak Hausa. Ojukwu understands very well the Fulani motive. I'm not going to kill you. He was quite educated when they went to that meeting in Aburi. And he went with people too on his side. They studied it and they presented it. It was agreed upon. So on Gowon coming back to Nigeria, they used that Aburi agreement as a bait to the Yoruba. Do you understand me now? It was a bait to buy the Yorubas over. So for you to say Ojukwu was wrong in presenting to the people that he was trying to meet with in the house is very, very wrong. That man is right. By the way, the Northerners started killing Igbos in 1953, if you don't know the history. In 1953, there was a riot in Kano, in which so many Southerners were killed, slaughtered. I came back in 1966 with my parents. I went to school in Kafanchan. So I'm well aware, and I fought in the Biafran army, to tell you the truth, at an underage. I went to Ikenanzizi, I went to Maya, Eket, then Opobo. So I'm well versed with that war. Nobody will show me what war is. But going to war a second time would be a very grievous mistake. That's all I have to tell you. History, yes, history can be written both ways. You can write it to suit or not to suit. That's your prerogative. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mazi. Let's allow Dr. who spoke let's allow Dr. Ononuju and Dr. Nwaezeigwe to respond before we take further presentations. And please, we will finish that in 5 minutes and then go to the next segment because something terrible is happening in Igbo land. We'll have that a 30-minute discussion starting from 10 p.m. So we'll conclude this segment by 10 p.m. Dr. Ononuju, please, can you please just summarize what you think, everything we've discussed today with the last presentations and make your concluding comments? Dr. Ononuju, please. I hope you're still with us. I think he left. Okay, he's here. Look, can you unmute yourself? You are muted.
Thank you very much. I have unmuted. I want to advise our people that they should start making friends with everybody who is not a Fulani. From the Hausa man to the TV man, those who are with Yorubas, deepen your friendship with the Yorubas, especially the Yorubas of the Owena stock. The Owena stock are those of Ikiti, Oshu, Odu. They are forthcoming. They understand this crisis, and they are willing to partner with us. Befriend even the TV, befriend the Doma, befriend the Ikede Diagatu. Be nice to the Kanuri man you know. The problem today in Nigeria is not the North, it's not the Muslim, it is the Fulani. The Fulani are actually killing more Hausas than they are killing Igbos. They are killing more TV than they are killing Igbos. They are killing more Bachama than they are killing Igbos. They are killing people all over for one reason. They want to seize ancestral land. So I want to, even in your village, make friends with your neighbor, make friends with your brother. Come back, support Ohanese, be friendly even to your governor. Most of them are challenged, but because of the preponderance of pressure from the Igbo streets, they are now politely trying to get themselves back. Because when it starts, it's the rain at home that will beat you. It's not the one in Meduguri. I want our people to, like I said, other time when we had an Igbo Zoom town hall meeting, start making peace with everybody you know. You can let Igbos as much as possible attend the Washington rally on the 10th, the 12th, and 16th to show the Yoruba solidarity. Start it now. Once we achieve that Southern unity, as was demonstrated by Asaba, then we will be able to save our country and save sub-Saharan Africa. There is a sub-regional onslaught of the Fulani against everybody in the sub-region. Whether you're Dogon in Mali, whether you are in Cote d'Ivoire, whether you are in Cameroon, you're Central African Republic, you are in Nigeria, the Fulani are against you. The only way you can win is when you unite. You saw the things that happened in Yoruba land. The minute the Yorubas came behind Sunday Igboho, the Fulani went back. But of course, the Fulani have a way to sustain their audacious offenses. This is who they are. This is what they have done all their life. The difference between now and the past is that today we have the greatest number of awareness in Nigeria's history. We have never achieved this quality of awareness before. Forgive those who held against us before. Forgive and befriend the Yoruba. Forgive and start making friends with your Izon brother. Today, the problem has changed. The new enemy is the Fulani, not the Hausa. So we must make it distinct of not attacking all nationals anyway with in Igbo land when there's a problem. The problem is Fulani. Fulani.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. I admire your erudition, your courage, I've watched some of your presentations in Nigerian television as well, and cannot help but marvel at the way you always courageously put these points across. Thank you for being with us tonight. Dr. Nwaezeigwe, what would be your final summation of
Go and lie down now. My video had on.
For the Igbo to move forward, ideologically and politically, we must separate historical facts from what I can call the mentality, which is what most of the people believe. Propaganda without layers of facts. Most of the ideas they know about, because it is based on propaganda. So we must go back, read the minutes of the meeting, look, read the minutes of the implementation committees, and know the reasons. And at the point where each other broke away. It's not a question of, but Aburi will stand, Ojuku did this, and our people did this. That is vile propaganda. And as long as the people continue to rely on propaganda, there is no movement. Somebody is telling me, somebody said that I said that agreement was they didn't hear me. It wasn't led enough to be appropriate. It was put to effect a historian of Nigerian Civil War. That was what he said, and okay, not the state. You know, I said, oh, I heard it, and I said, that is not a loss. Second, my application of I can top in the court. I was in a simple form. I want that of the war, my uncles, my brother, all in Biafra, before Biafra, nobody was a kid, 7 years, 8 years, 6 years, 8 years, 9 years, then the Civil War. So I spent my time was a battleground. It wasn't a case of my being straight Nigerian Civil War. I was part of the struggle, my family, my town, and everywhere that time. Also, my escape the program in Baptist State during the Civil War. So we need everything for us. And support to come here and tell me it's being sentimental. What do I say? Part of the problem is the president's leadership. Part of the problem is not even the Fulani. Because as people say, okay, no more of out of the American. If they run the book, that's one. If there is a basket, if we don't have practice leaders, just as you have, the Fulani will continue to, to have a free ride of us. So the issue is not Fulani. I mean, it's strong, and I know how. Even the president of an nation is preaching. It's a dollar to one. It's a dollar to one. It's good at best. It's not because it's not because they're trying to pretending to be active because of the rising crisis in the state. They also aided the situation to this point. Because right from time they've been playing alliance to flag alliance. Because first of all, Igbo mentality, or Igbo believe that Spanish will never give him power. Until Igbo believe that the Fulani is the number one enemy based on ethnic definition and based on religious differences. This nation, Igbo will never get the nation. But as long as some of these people, especially on an ethnic, both the professor, who have known since 1991, when we were in Senegal for the when we were the director of the international affairs, he has been unapologetic on Fulani, and I've been their spokesman on one Igbo conference. I've been their spokesman on one Igbo conference before I went on. So I know all of them. They are not proactive Igbo leaders, and they cannot bring solution to the problem. And that is why it matters are generating seriously. But we come out and say, look, these are the problems of our common leaders. I didn't make mistake. If I made a mistake, because if Igbo was killed, Obama was killed, there shouldn't have been any need for program. They kept the slaughter of the dead. They will lay the foundation to carry the sun plan fully in the north. And then coming to south, they were giving the schools to Archbishop Maros was there. What Archbishop? Did they send it to kill him? Because they wanted to kill Obara, you sell Obara, you sell Zik, they live up to 80s and 90s. What they achieved on that is on the top of the blood of the fellow people. So until our people decide, look, if I'm going for a coup and my mother is among those to be killed, if I don't participate, I will remove my face. Let another person go.
Thank you.
Until the command fails to be sentimental in actions.
Thank you very much.
Let us agree.
We will have this conversation. Thank you very much, Dr. Nwaezeigwe.
To be solved, even why the Abuja, why the initial agreement was not adhered to, because the Solicitor General continued to meet. Finally, remember, there was Federal Executive Council in Benin, which Ojuku said will not attend in Lagos, and they brought it up in Benin. So they saw this Ojuku's disagreement on Aburi. They met. Ojuku refused to come for the fear that he will be arrested in Benin. After the meeting, Ojuku flew with a helicopter to Angel for Angel to brief on the meeting. It wasn't like immediately the Abuja, the Aburi Accord of 5th or 4th and 5th, everything collapsed. They continue managing the situation, discussing it. So people should go back and look at the trace of the meetings, the progress of the meeting between Aburi, that Aburi of 455, of 4th and 5th, and Aburi of May 30th, of March 30th, and 31st, second Aburi, where they now went, to look at the issues of this agreement. People should look at the minutes and look at if between this area there should be need for the Civil War, or if there should have been compromises as part of the mistakes in the initial implementation of number one on the agenda, that of federalism, which that of federalism announced by government, and that of arrogating to yourself the head of the military government. And that was only the problem. Of it, all other aspects, all other five were resolved. Until people go and read deeper historically, it's not coming from the surface and then telling a professional historian who read deeply and is giving you the details and coming here to give me preferred ideas and telling me what can we do. We never move forward.
I won't go if their parents do not bring them. I can't force them to come.
I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you.
Hello. The volume is just like it's not working. Dan, you will need to use your control something there to adjust. Hello. Can you all hear me at all? Yes. Hello, Dan.
Are you hearing me?
I can hear you now. What the volume?
I don't know. Sometimes the internet. Are you hearing me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Just a quick.
Sorry, but we'll continue the second segment of the discussion so that we allow our guests to. Dr. Katch Ononuju, thank you very much for being with us tonight. You have shed a lot of light on some of the events surrounding the Aburi Accord and the possibilities. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. And Dr. Nwaezeigwe, thank you very much, eminent historian of repute. Thank you very much also for laying the historical analysis of the events surrounding the Aburi Accord. Thank you, Dr. Nwaezeigwe. Is Dr. Nwaezeigwe still with us? All right.
Recording stopped.
Okay. We are finishing the second segment of, we have finished our second program tonight. You know, this is a period where Nigerians are going back to the events of 1966 because what is happening today appears to be an echo of what happened then. So in fact, earlier today, I joined the conference of World Igbo Congress hosted by my brother from another mother, Mazi Tochukwu and Dele Momudu. I left because it was almost several hours going. It was also the same topic that was being discussed in that World Igbo Congress forum. And then we have this one for 2 hours now. So the next segment of our discussion, which Dr. Ononuju, you are not obliged to stay, but if you stay, we'll be happy. But you are not, so that we don't keep you. You are not obliged to stay. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying.
I do understand.
Okay, good. And then Dr. Nwaezeigwe, you're also not obliged to stay, but if you stay, fine. Okay. Today of all days, what's his name? This is a former aide to President Goodluck Jonathan. Ahmed Golak was killed in Owerri. Before then, a lot of police stations have been burnt in the southeast region. And like Nwaezeigwe and so many others commented, it was as if the events of 1966 are being replicated. So I will now allow, what do we think is actually happening in Nigeria now? Otumba, I'll allow you to take the first shot in this segment of the program. Yeah, this is Matters Arising. Adeji Agamba. Ado, thank you very much for asking that question. Well, it is part of our daily routine that after every major interviews, we sit back for like 30 minutes to analyze whatever events is the hot topic for that day. So today's hot topic is now this killing of Ahmed Golak in Owerri and other killings of policemen. What exactly is happening? Otumba, we allow you to take the first shot.
Thank you very much, Dan. As usual, I tried to have a go when I was doing my A-level at the Holy Cathedral Church Secondary School in Lagos. I was around that time. I have teaching from the exodus of our brother from the east. So I got a job with BWA. BWA is Bank of West Africa. I was working there, but I've always wanted to travel to Europe. I will link this story to my take on this very important question. And because I come from a very poor family, I have to organize 10 people to contribute because we are being paid in pounds sterling. I tried to save a substantial amount of money, £250. I got my passport to Washpan. That was the vice president to House of Senate. Now, let me now go straight to your question. So I have been through all these stages in life, not as best as those who have become very prominent today. But like I said, I also tried to join the army. I wasn't given any chance, and many of us either because of our height or either that we later on found out that corruption. People have already collected money, and it's now come to be on me that ever since I've been worried that many years thereafter, issue of corruption is there. Now let's link my narratives to the incident of what happened with Gola. I have responded on one forum and said, please, as a legal trained person, we might need to have evidence proofs. You and I know as a legal person that 99% of issues like this have to be proven. and it has to be proven beyond doubt. There's no doubt about it that there's a connection between Indozama and Gulag, late Gulag. Yeah, but then that he.
Sorry, come again. You said there is a connection between.
People say he had helped the present governor of Imo State.
Okay, sorry, the way you pronounce it. Sorry. Okay, hopeless Uzodimma. Some say it's hopeless Uzodimma.
Yes.
And go like, okay, go ahead.
Well, I'm not going to put the word hopeless to it. Hope. So the connect. What happened today is very, very tragic. It's very, very sad. No matter which part of the country you are, any small killings of a rat, not to talk of human being, it's not acceptable just like that. As you can see in Europe, even though cows are going to be slaughtered tomorrow for feeding, but they do it in such a respectful manner, in such a manner that it's, you just don't kill anybody anyhow. Not to talk about. So I'm of the opinion that we will need whoever are saying, people who are saying that the governor of Imo State has, and they will have to. I'm not speaking for him. They will have to show proof, because as it is now, we find out that most of the killings that are aligned, or actually, I mean, to Fulanis, we now discover that they are more Yoruba people. They are more people who are not Fulanis, taking advantage of the killing spree that's regular in such a way that everybody is thinking that it's the Fulanis. So again, I would want to believe that there's a need for anybody and everybody that believes that this particular person has hand in death of this person who just got killed. I would think the proof would be an evidence of that they are connected does not mean it's still the same person. I can imagine that even though you and I are having issues, but then the issues you and I have does not include me planning to get you executed. And so what you can, people who even do not have anything to do with it will have taken advantage of the situation. So again, like I said, I'm not. So again, all along, this has been a problem for me. Yeah. Problem for me is that all this number of years, we still don't learn our lessons. We still believing that we are in the zoo, we are in the jungle. We still not believing, we are still not behaving like a civilized people. And when you look at the collections of brains, again, earlier on, you were discussing one. You have two different human beings. You're having the one who cannot read and write, and then you have somebody who's off trained, who knows exactly what he wants, who exactly put his card on the table, and we're expecting them to be the same. You understand me? Ojukwu was in control. Ojukwu was in control of what is going on in the breakaway, whatever. But then we have this person relying on people who did not finish their education in University of Ibadan, who are probably half-baked graduates. He has no control over the directions they are taking him all over the place. Is it the one that took over one of our head of state can read and write? No. And as we speak, up to today, unfortunately, we are yet to have a well-learned, a well-educated head of state. So I love to share the sentiment of one of the main contributors today. History. And that's why I started by saying, I try to learn history. But at the end of the day, for me, if history is not bringing any immediate benefit, 51 years on when I was trying to learn history, and up to today, we are still making these terrible mistakes. We are still yet to allow history to help us. So Professor Nwankwo can say as much as he wants. He can say he failed somebody in his class and so on. He probably would have not failed me. If he failed me, I would have taken it away so that bodies and so I say, you know what? This is personal. I'm not being insulted to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I can see you are back. I wanted to call you before we concluded. What do you think about our discussion tonight and then the second topic we have now moved into using the historical events of 1966 to situate them with what is happening in Nigeria today. Okay, look, Madikife, you raise up your hand then.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, apologies if this place is dark. You may not be able to hear me completely.
We're
Yes,
hearing you here.
Yes, I raised my hand, and incidentally, I had issues with power, so I had left and I came back. Okay. I wanted to keep the discussion on the radar, because I wanted to first of all acknowledge the input being made by the resource persons, and to note that in managing the discussion, the only reason why you will bring more than one person is because we want to hear perspectives. So we needed to be tolerant with ourselves. If, particularly as someone asked, the answers from the two persons were not identical, because as human beings we are exposed to, even when we're in the same field, we are exposed to different spheres of knowledge and again different biases. And so at the historical point of trying to deduce what happened in the past and what histories we can learn from it, the discussion was stable. But predictably, when you now begin to apply it to the present, then we begin to diverge more, because everybody is in the full picture. But there's a similarity. Just like people have different perspectives interpreting what happened in history, people also have different perspectives looking at what is happening today. Somebody submitted here that the APC manifesto contains restructuring in the second paragraph. That's not correct. That's false. The APC manifesto has a declaration that restates its belief in fiscal federation. Fiscal federation. In an extended sense, that's part of restructuring. But it is stable and it is measurable. That one has been achieved. But when you talk about restructuring, 20 persons in Nigeria have 20 definitions. So APC cannot put what is amorphous in his manifesto. APC was very clear about fiscal federation, and it has implemented that 100%, because the federal government has never gone out of its way since 2015 to interfere with federation funds. Before then, we had governors go to court against the federal government because they were, without consulting the states and the local government, withdrawing money from what was supposed to be owned by the federation. And this government came and stabilized it and said, look, this is, the federal government deals with federal allocation, and the states deal with state allocation, and local government allocation. And anything to do with federation, everybody is aware. And so that has been completely achieved. Now, having said that, I want to go back in time and understand the perspectives, different perspectives that people have, because the issues of accord, issues of involving human beings and agreements, people must look at it different ways because we react to situations differently. You know, there are some people, when you come, something is changing, you say, okay, let's adjust to it. And others say, no, we stand by it. And that has been explained. Having said that, I want to take a position that Ojukwu was right in insisting on the advance reached in Aburi. And there's no way the issues that arose in the Civil War, as far as I have been enlightened, can be attributed fully to him. Even if they were, well, that's who he is. We must acknowledge imperfections in human beings and styles. The same Europe that would come and tell their stories is the same Europe that produced Hitler and Mussolini. So that's what I wanted to chip in before I fell to my power. Thank you.
All right, we thank you. So you are saying that the restructuring in the APC manifesto is actually fiscal federalism being implemented by this present APC government. Is that your position? Okay, are you still with us? Did he meet himself? Because we want to make that. Okay, are you with us?
Yeah.
So are you saying, yeah, Dr. Katch Ononuju,
there's nothing like restructuring in the platform extracted from the manifesto as presented for the election. And if anybody says that in a public discourse and without any backing, it's a fallacy. And so that would become a false premise on which to hold someone or pretend to hold someone to a promise. And that will even be worse in holding somebody to incompetence. So if tomorrow, in 30 years' time, our children sit down to analyze it, they are likely to come up with different perspectives on who Buhari is. And that is to be expected.
Okay, in my logic and philosophy, I think, was it Rosio that said before you debate with everyone, let us tell him where his interest lies. I'm not saying I'm trying to argue with you, but will you be kind enough to declare you should we call it interest or position? Your political affiliation. It will help us to put things in perspective. Do you mind?
I wish everyone did that. So yes, I wish everyone did that. Because it is not, first of all, before you start talking about political affiliation, I have a professional affiliation. I can simply tell you I'm an architect, a professional architect who is whatever. And people come and say they're historians. Others come and say they're journalists. They all have political bias. They're not putting it on the table. I am the Anambra State Secretary of APC. And I am knowledgeable enough on facts. I'm putting out things that are verifiable to you. But people hide behind.
No. Don't get me wrong. When Dr. Katch Ononuju was speaking in terms of the historical background to this position, and then Dr. Nwaezeigwe is of that is historical perspective. It's not, but here is a political statement you've just made. And I wish to say, thank you for
a political statement. It's a direct response to Dr. Daniju's false claim. It's unless you missed that part, it is a direct response to Ononuju. And if I wanted to extend it further, I would also go into the one that took a swipe as people. Ojus Okalo trying to be president. Umahi trying president. So what? You say by your submission that the Fulanis don't have the number. They don't have the number. But by strategic alliances, they have produced the president many times, not once. Even two from the same state. You have the number, but you have not even been able to enlighten your people, your political base of your history, and you have not found the right strategies to ally with to build your many minorities into a majority that will give you what others have taken. So sometimes it requires us to pull back and look at the mirror. That's the point of view.
Yeah, fair point. Very, very fair. All right, let's listen to Nwankwo, and then you can unmute yourself. Nwankwo, please.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Before he revealed his affiliation, anyone could have guessed that Okello Madukife is an APC hack. We have not been able to achieve anything because of fellows like Okello Madukife.
No, I think I will take exception to that point. Let's not make it.
Okay. What I'm saying is, there was a 2014 Constitutional Conference. Recommendations were made. The APC promised to implement the recommendations. This is even far more reaching than fiscal crap he's talking about. When Buhari got into power, he discarded it. And I agree entirely with Dr. Ononuju's submission. Please, let's not justify evil because of what we expect from some quarters.
That's the problem we have. The Fulanis put community before self. We put self before community. I will say this to anybody. I can never sell the Igbo tribe for anything. If you hear that I've been offered money. If you hear that I ever took money to sell the Igbo tribe, I want to see the person. That is our main problem. Compromisable, gullible, malleable. Those are. Thank you.
Well, is that not the point Okelo is making? Because if Igbos claim to have the numbers, and then
but he's one of them. That's what I'm trying to say. He's one of them.
Okay.
People that we need to change. Okay?
Right.
He's one of the persons that need to change. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's start from Dr. Charles, please. Let's take people who have not spoken before, and then we'll come back to those who have spoken. Okay, let's allow you to respond. Make it brief, please, because you say you want to respond. Just quickly.
Thank you very much. I have never met Nwankwo, and I will not use the decorum of getting personal with him.
No, he withdrew that. Let's not go back now. He has withdrawn that personal aspect of his submissions.
I'm not sure, but I will
analyze. No, he did. Immediately I said, let's not go to that. He immediately accepted and said, okay, I withdrew that. And then made.
But he said he will never sell the Igbos.
Okay.
And then he went ahead to say that the Fulanis put community first.
Okay,
but in the Igbos, we put persons first. Those are innuendos that are completely unacceptable. But like I said, we are all entitled to our biases. What is important is that we have a public discourse. And I love the submission, one of the closing submissions made by Nwankwo, the gentleman, the lecturer in the university.
Yeah, that's correct.
We must discard Oko-condemn mentality. Let me use another thing that is innocuous but very remarkable. Somebody came into this meeting and went into the comment section and wrote that there is war going on in Umuahia, and we are busy here discussing what happened 15 years ago. Now, to him, we should all drop this discussion and maybe rush to Umuahia and then go to Facebook and put one-liners that inform nobody. But that person is probably still had dinner in his house tonight. He didn't forget the dinner to fast in honor of Umuahia. All right, now, irrelevant as it may seem.
That is, we allow other people to contribute to this discussion.
Yes, I'm funneling. I am funneling. Now, my gladness as I conclude is that Mr. Nwankwo did not assail any of the points I made. You now went ahead to drop another another fallacy, that APC said they would implement the 2014 Constitutional Conference, which the initiator stepped down and shied away from implementation just because thought he would, by not establishing. Don't make that. Who are biased? How would you then expect to hold them? Please let us be research-minded. Let us take the promises of APC. There are seven cardinal promises. I will be glad if I have the right contacts to forward them to Mr. Nwankwo, and you'll be able to research. You do not rely or place on the head of APC what you read on Facebook.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. All right.
Elomba, can I make just two sentences? I'm not addressing what you said. It's something that's very pertinent. Because when you started, you said something about Ahmed Gulak being killed. Okay. If Igbo youths who are planning to protest either on Monday or Tuesday, if they had protested the imposition of a Fulani Igbo governor in Imo State, Gulag will not be coming to Imo State. So you see, when you don't address something, it's going to morph into something bigger. That's my submission. Thanks.
All right. Okay, well, thank you. Let's hear from, I think I called Dr. Charles on Morodion, and then, yes. Quickly, not more than 2 minutes, please.
All right, I'm even going to be less than 2 minutes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to commend all your effort for the way and manner that you've addressed the debate that has been ensuing. I just wanted to respond to our brother that spoke last. I think, is he a Kemelo or something? I'm not quite sure if I mispronounced the name.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm an APC person to the core. Our APC Constitution highlights, I'm going to read it to you. The first point there on that Constitution states, initiate action to amend our Constitution with a view to devolve powers, duties, responsibility to state, local government in order to entrench true federalism and federal spirit. That's one. You go down again about 4 or 5 lines, it said restructure government for leaner, more efficient, and adequate compensated public services. If that is not restructuring, I don't know what restructuring means.
Thank you.
That's my contribution.
Thank you. Thank you.
APC manifesto.
Thank you.
I don't know whether we should allow these.
I have been vindicated.
No. It's not about vindication. But I don't know whether we should allow this conversation to go to APC manifesto. So let's hear from. But if that is what the public likes, okay. But let's hear from. Okay. There are so many hands. So let me call the server spoken before. Then I come back to the server. Chris Nabife, please. Let's hear from you. Please unmute. Chris Nabife.
Okay, thank you so much, Elomba. Actually, what I wanted to say regarding the APC, I think the last person that just said now has actually said that. But the question I wanted to ask, what's his name? Is that the last person that spoke before this other one, Okam or something? Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Sorry about that. Yeah, when he tried to explain what APC has done in terms of the federalism and physical federalism, he just tried to gloss over the issue of revenue allocation or whatever. I just want to ask you, is that what you meant by restructuring? Is that your own understanding of restructuring? Glossing over the issue of financial allocation between the state and the local government? Is that what you understand? Is that what the APC said they're gonna do about restructuring? Just like as this last person has said, look at the first highlights of the APC Constitution. He just read it out now. Initiate action to amend our Constitution with a view to devolving powers, duties, and responsibilities to states, local governments, in order to entrench true federalism and federal spirit. That is what restructuring is all about. What he just told us here is that it's restructuring. To me, it is bollocks. I'm sorry to say that. It is. So let's just get that one clear. I'm not here to pull punches or whatever, but I just want to tell you that what you just defined here as federalism to me is nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Thank you.
All right, we thank you very much. Let's hear from.
Thank you very much. I think that the submission of the last person but one indicates our position.
Right.
What he read was very clear. Both powers to the center. That's true and fiscal federalism. The second one was leaner government. The first thing this government did, even against the
let's not. We're not here to discuss APC or whatever. It's just a side show to the issues.
Okay,
thank you very much.
You made me declare my political bias, and those who do not like APC came for me, and I'm coming back to explain to them that it is a needless attack. Now, I was going to explain the second thing that was read when I said, when they were accusing Buhari of delaying the appointment of his ministers, he did an institutional audit.
and reduce the government.
Second
restructuring is about lean government.
Okay, if I made a mistake by asking you to declare your political, it will help to put whatever you're saying in perspective. So that's
okay, fine. But I want you to understand. I think that somebody is flaring up at the use of the word restructuring. But restructuring on the second line that was read is lean government, which has been achieved. Lean government from 42 ministries.
Okay,
let's get ministries. It was shredded.
We have given you 4 opportunities now. Others have not even taken it.
All right, thank you. Now, you may what my advice before I shut my mouth. You can set this aside as a separate topic.
Yes.
Let's have a more intelligent. Let's have a more intelligent debate. Because people can just pour in words from emotions and then feel that they absorb something.
Yeah.
I even heard something like nonsense.
So we can do that. We are not here to abuse people on this segment of the program. Mazi is okay. Marcel, Mazi Okoye. I don't know whether we can have all these. But let's see how much we can take. I don't see it's okay again. And then Marcel, if you can unmute, I have asked you to unmute now. And let's unmute. Let me also ask Mazi okay to unmute so that once one person is finished, another person take over.
Dan, I'm here. I did. I think I will yield my own time to someone else because I think the issue of restructuring on that, I think we'll have to schedule another time to probably go through these issues line by line. But again, I must thank Dr. Charles for his intervention. I believe that appendage of a doctor to his name this night, he has proven that he earned it well, that there was no plagiarism to that name. Thank you very much.
Okay, Marcel and Mazi Okoye, commit yourselves, please, so we don't waste time. Once it's your turn, make a point to move on.
And Mazi, see, I'm a little bit disappointed because we're supposed to discuss something else and this APC nonsense came on board. And then Ukelu was lying openly in the public and we're all accepting it.
I don't accuse someone of lying.
No, Mazi, I am not there.
When you say
I am making it, he's telling lies, he's lying. There's no two ways about it, and I'm not missing words about it. If we are not discussing APC, let us end it. I don't want anybody coming here to tell me lies. We can all
Marcel, calm down.
Okay, so let's just stop APC talk. You should be ashamed not to even mention APC anywhere. Okay, can we just move on to something else? Okay, that's my point. I wasted over 20 minutes listening to trash. Can we move on, please?
Marcel, you now have white beard, though.
Oh, God. Mazi, okay, what do you have to say?
I think, I don't know whether to call Nigeria our country or what to make of it with the state of affairs in the country, because everything seems to be more like upside down. The country is imploding on itself, and there's nothing that hasn't been said. There's nothing that I could have said tonight that I have not heard somewhere else yet. We're not making any progress. There's no progress made. Like you mentioned about the Mr. Ula that got killed in broad daylight. There's another man I knew that got killed today in broad daylight. There is something sinister going on in that country that we are not recognizing. People, some sinister evil force is working underground in that country as we speak. And it's about time that we take this issue seriously, because there are people, evil people, that is now using the chaos in the country to take bad actions against innocent people. There are evil people everywhere in that country now using the opportunity to kill people, to murder people. Now, with regards to the conversation that we're having earlier about the Aburi Accord, I was kind of reflecting when our two our two gentlemen was talking, I was thinking, okay, we have 4 regions in Nigeria at the time. But it seems like the Aburi Accord is between 2 regions, whilst the other 2 are there to mediate. What are the duties of the other two regions? What are their stake? It's like they didn't have any stake in the discussion or in the accord, which to me says quite a lot of the whole Aburi Accord history, because the other 2 regions were like, we get as if they are not stakeholders in the whole affair. Why is that? Why would they act as mediators, as not stakeholders? To me, I think that speaks to the failure also of the Aburi Accord, not yielding the result that it's supposed to yield, because not all the stakeholders believe that they're or meant to believe that they are stakeholders in the whole business. So it's bound to fail. Because I was thinking to myself, where are the Yorubas? Where are the Yorubas in it? Where are the Midwesterners in it? They are nowhere to be found. Instead, they were treated as external forces that come in to mediate between the Nigerian or the Hausas and the Igbos, which to me is not actually the case, because everyone has a stake in Nigeria. This is my contribution.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Unebu, please. And then we hear from Tango.
Thank you, everyone, once again. Like I said, I forfeit a lot of things to be here, and I've been here for 3 hours. But it pains me when I ask question and I will not get the answer. Because I asked question for 2 people, and thank God the 2 people are still here. None of them answered the question. And my question is simple. We are here because we want to learn something. And we want to know about the facts. According to the program you bring here, that we are discussing, we want to know the truth and the lies concerning what we are being taught. Now we are the students, the 2 teachers said in 3 different occasions or 4. This one say it's a lie, this one say it's the truth. And I ask my question now, when I'm going home, when I meet people outside, if this topic come out, what am I going to tell them?
I think
when the 2 teachers is confusing us.
Did you listen to what Okelo said?
I listened to everything. I didn't get that.
No, what I'm saying is the essence of when we wanted to plan this conversation. Yes, we had Dr. Nwaezeigwe, and so the essence of having a conversation like this is now say, okay, can we get someone who can also approach the topic from a different perspective? If I bring 2 discussers and say both of them saying the same thing, you will find it boring, isn't it? So it's good to have.
No, it's not a history. History is yes, history is 1. No, it's opposite.
Well, on that, I agree with you. But then, let me ask you a question now, okay? Concerning that Aburi Accord, let's look at it this way. Yes, Ojukwu and Gowon were in Aburi. Other people were there. The Ejo, all other governors, PAMSEC, their legal advisors must have also been at the meeting. And they came back, agreement was reached. Both of them gave, the people who were at the meeting, gave the agreement different interpretations. You get what I'm saying? Both of them, they had, the record was there, and yet they gave it different interpretations. And Okelo said that is how human beings are. Even though we know, yeah, this is what I agreed, but they gave it different interpretations. So how then do you expect historians narrating the same topic, even though they agreed, yeah, this is what was agreed, but these are the consequences? I won't expect them to always say the same thing. Just, I don't know whether any other person agrees with me on that point. I leave the floor open to, I leave the floor open.
You're asking me a question. You have to give me a space also to respond to your question. Because you
what I'm saying is,
okay, let me give you one instance.
Okay.
Both of them were asked
Mm-hmm.
Is it not because of implementing the Aburi Accord caused to declare Biafra? The other one will say it's true. The other one will say it's lie. If I go outside, what am I going to tell people?
Okay, let me come again, though they are still here. Dr. Ononuju said that he believes that it is the non-implementation of the Aburi Accord that led to Nigerian Civil War, that if the Accord had been implemented, there would have been no Civil War. Dr. Nwaezeigwe said, well, no, because there are other factors that you cannot pin it just to one thing. That there are other factors also that makes, even with the Aburi Accord, that makes the Aburi Accord unimplementable, that may have still led to Biafran War, even though they still implemented it. Then that's what I got from the from their points.
Both of them are still here. Both of them are still here. Even throughout the whole discussion, I didn't even see on one thing both of them agreed on.
Okay, let's hear from others on this issue. Let's hear from Tango and then. And
they are our student teachers.
I enjoyed the very fine. See, history is just like Bible. Take whatever you see here according to the writer on it. Because that word is a single word according to the word that's in Bible. When Pastor or Reverend Father starts, he tell you according to St. Paul. St. Peter is not there, St. Paul is not there. If not, after church, they will hold the prayer and say, what do you say? So, I'm taking what I hear from them, some of what they are saying, I'm a witness of for what they are saying. But you put in question, I have discussed this Aburi life. Would you grudge? Would you coming home? How you come home? They don't know. They don't know. If you call Jesus Christ, just as brother. My senior brother is the editor of New Globe. Comes to business when it's for my SI. I was in the army that time. Later, I left the army. Ojuku have his own grudge of taking the deal Okadibo give him to return from SI. Okadibo planned for you coming home. Ojuku was in SI. Everybody forget him. He took loans from Aburi government. After contracting job, all went down. Then he became sick. Okadibo negotiated Ojuku coming back. Those are things they talk. When some people talk, the opportunity to say whatever they want. Like in history. If I want to give you history, we cannot end up here today. That's why I ask you to stop me, then I forget that again. Most of this you hear here don't have their own interest. Some are talking for their own privilege or for party interest or to please somebody. Whatever I hear is that from this 2 experts, I put it according to. But some of the things they are saying here, we know the results already. If you like, they have a PhD multiple. What I'm saying. Excuse me. I'm a samurai. At times, something has me at times. So, what I'm saying that their program is one of the best. That's why I can even spend 10 hours. I joined late in the other program. I want to talk to but I wasn't before I finished what I was doing. He took me to school. So that's why I was not in that program. Like today now, talk of now the carrying shoe, different shoes. There's something of this man that died, somebody that came to a deal and died at the water. At his statue, he goes secretly, What is his mission?
Sorry, please. What exactly is Ahmed like being at the water? Does anyone know what he's going to do? I have given everybody the ability to unmute, please. So
we are coming.
So if you want to make,
I'm coming. Somebody of his society or caliber coming to in this situation, entering over the secretary, going out secretary. Forgetting if this man is dead, if people can investigate well, those are hopeless is the suspect. Maybe they give him away. Because the moment we are afraid that this man that helped hopeless to put the power, that is coming before this man with guards of power to settle their deal they reach. And imagine taking a cab to the airport with that security. What are they investigating again?
They get a civilian.
What are they investigating again? No, what investigation is really again? The type of hotel is sleep, waking up in the morning, taking a cab to the airport. Okay, now we're talking about the man's dead. What of the people? The craft seller, the food seller. Like as from Friday till now, more than 500 youth and men from die at home in Igbo land, all over. Women here to everywhere. People are dying, killing people everywhere. So the only thing we will do is like now we are showing the awareness, and the traditional world are not caring. When you talk about Aburi, like, one was a small boy, he was married during the war, wedded during the war. What was going on wedded? The one was 30 years, they gave him 3 years above to meet the constitution of that 3 years to be a head of state. The one was too young. But the plan that be like Mutara never interested of ruling anybody. Mutara was interested of revenge. Revenge. Because state in revenge. They bring one as a Christian to cool their spirit. People didn't have their master plan. The majority in army those days were the Plateau and Jos. But the one actually and Danjuma systematically people didn't kill all the senior officers, replace themselves gradually. The rest plan that still was there, that is for there with Yoruba. They want to start so that's a palace school. Which Bameyi, Zulu man headed. After using Bameyi, where are the two Bameyis now? Where are the two Bameyis now? Where are the two Bameyis now? After using the study, what I tell you, most of people you see don't believe in people. Even if I go to church, a pastor is preaching, I listen. You don't believe everything he's saying. All right, thank you. No. Even Bishop is talking. I don't. Let's hear from Adai Jagamba because I don't know.
Good afternoon, everybody from my side of the world. I'm just interested in what is going on in Imo State. I'm not even interested in all this history we are rehashing because it's good to know about our history, but we really need to be focused on the present. Our youth are being killed on a daily basis. I can't even watch the videos or the pictures of people that I know the bloodletting that is going on in Imo State and other part of Southeast. So having listened to the wonderful presenters and everybody who have contributed, what is the roadmap? What is the way for? How do we stop our kids from being killed? How do we stop this bloodletting? That should be our focus right now, and not what in Aburi Accord.
The thing we have to do here is to speak to Opos or the man. He is the one that is in charge of all this killing. Let us
to my mind, Nnamdi Kanu was first shut the hell up. Let us think what we're going to do. He's causing a lot of problem with his words. He must shut the hell up. Let us think. He's not allowing us to think. He's not allowing us to reflect. Anybody that knows it must get him to be quiet so that people can think and reflect. Because Johnny is itching to speak. It's too much.
Okay, let's hear Jonette, please. Thank you, Master.
Jonette should have left for this man to finish. He just butted in. That's so rude. Guys, can we moderate our behavior?
Maybe a mistake, not rude, but maybe a mistake. Let him continue.
So he can continue if you are not finished. I'm very sorry about that.
I think, okay, have you finished then?
The guys, let him talk. I've said my piece. Let him. So.
Wait, that's okay. Thank you.
You can speak now. Yes. I can't see the face of that guy that was saying that.
But you have no face now.
You can't even see your face.
So how can you be looking for somebody's face? You have no face.
Yes, he's the guy. Okay, I shared seriously in the frustration of Unegu that he doesn't know what to tell people, because even in my Facebook page, I've been listening to Katch Ononuju, and he's I can't believe when he's talking. And Nwaezeigwe is a rich historian. So I advertise it that people should come for a feast. But the discussion actually went a little bit emotional. And let me begin. When I want to begin as well, when they say that they are historians, maybe it injected some confusions into putting some points across. And let me begin by saying that Katch Ononuju appeared too simple, too predictable, too hardline, and digital. Digital in the sense that he took a complex issue, reduced it into 0 or 1. I agree here with Nwaezeigwe. Political process is not what you can reduce to 0 or 1. And let me give an example. Ojukwu returned from Abu. Assuming Igbo leaders did not agree with what he come home with, what will they tell him and tell the world and tell Nigerians? They will request for a review. So requesting for a review is part of a project management standard system. It is called progressive elaboration. Okay, so requesting for a review is not bad. I may not be in my best element today, but if I discuss something, if I discover something as I'm sleeping, I can tell you tomorrow. And as stakeholders, if I'm a board member or the acting chairman of the board, and your people told you these clauses need to be rephrased in the best interest of the country, you can call for a meeting. Call for a meeting for us to review it does not mean that you are going to dictate what will happen. I'm seriously believing that Ojukwu's hardline was managerial. In fact, in the words of Alexander Madiebo, he said that if we had a better experienced leader in the East, we may not have had war. Or better still, as he put it, a collective leadership. Ojukwu was striking alone. Okay?
Another person, thank you. Another person who said it was also this.
Mbazurika Amechi. Mbazurika Amechi. Yeah.
He has just spoken before.
I'm raising an important issue, okay? Yes. Because we are still in the, I don't understand. We are still in the issue now, where some people tell you 1 is 1 and it remains like that. No. What I don't think is that are obviously that are told in the critique, which was now agreed in Ojukwu's absence when he exited himself. Okay, what is that thing that
Okay, thank you. So let's not concentrate on.
Let me go to what happened.
Can I say everybody again?
Can I go to something?
No. Sorry, I think I will not be forced to mute everybody again if we.
Can I speak on what's happening in Owerri?
Yes, let's concentrate on what's happening in Owerri now.
I could not concentrate. The first person I called, the second person I called, but we're talking this thing, they call came and answered it. What in Owerri is a direct attack on Igbo people. It will, going into politics for 2023, the person suggested that it is to paint Igbo black and remove them from what is happening. Number 1. Number 2 is to activate attack on Igbos living outside. Okay? Number 3 is the solution. That people should begin to actually analyze this and begin to actually push the blame away from our people and that if something seriously is not done, when the rain is going to descend on us, it is going to be catastrophic, unimagined by any living soul. So I want Edomba and Nwaezeigwe to actually find a way to project this disaster they are importing in our land, trying to blame our people over what they know about. That's where I am.
Okay, we thank you. Because Nwaezeigwe, I wanted to ask, did Nnamdi Kanu eventually join the World Igbo Congress conference?
Yes, he did.
Well, what did he say? I couldn't stay. What did he say?
I think I would, I'm not very good in reported speech, so that I don't misquote. The live stream is, and we are, as I'm talking to you, the part of his clip, which is about 17 minutes, is being worked on at the back end by the staffs to upload that shortly. So I would endeavor to tell everybody head to Njenje Media TV to see the speech yourself. It's only about 70 minutes. But again, what, in summary, if if my memory serves me right, all he's saying is that first acknowledging that Obiano was able to honor the fallen heroes, and that the Ebonyi State governor was able to call off the, according to him, that the Ebonyi State governor said tomorrow anybody who opened up shop was going to be fined, or sorry, who closes shop was going to be dealt with, that he thanked him for basically rescinding that. And also spoke about the Igbo, basically this crisis, but nothing aside that he was engaging in other, he was engaging in meetings, hence coming in and going out because of the things happening in Owerri. So I think
any question? Did people ask him directly?
No. There were no questions. He made his speech, and because
so
obviously,
did he talk about unknown government and ESN?
No, there was nothing. Obviously, the reason why we gathered today was to commemorate on those we lost. It's basically to to give them respect that as leaders, and that is a key point that he made that must be emphasized here. That as Igbo leaders, that we must collectively demand for this date to be recognized, that we can, it doesn't matter which day of the week it falls into, that we have to, collectively begin to honor those that died. And because, as I told them in the meeting, they gave their yesterday for our today. And,
of Aburi, of everything. And just wait a minute. Hold on, let me finish, please. When somebody said something about Aburi, that's what I want to say. Even today, when countries sign an agreement, it's brought back to their parliament to ratify. Okay? So I think it was wrong for you to announce the Aburi arrangement without consulting with his parliament, and that is wrong.
We went past that. We're talking of what is going on right now.
Yes, this on non-government capturing something.
I have to remember here to become the live stream. So let's go.
Yeah. If we remember last 2 weeks here, Senator Hope Uzodinma came out and said that the people that this unknown government, that 70% of them are non-Igbos. He made that clear. In other words, he knows who they are. If you come out and say 70% of them are not Igbos,